Do you all want to start?
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kurt Lazone. I'm one of the directors, Island Coast FBA, sitting in as chief negotiator. I'm doing fine. Let me see. I can't read. Robert.
He'll be here shortly.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a time constraint this evening for 6:15. I have no elephants, and my expectation is to make some progress.
Hi there, my name is Mary Proud. I am with FEA, supporting SPALC. During this time, I'm doing well. Rod, we said, is on his way. Time constraints, no elephants, and I hope as well to make progress.
Hi, my name is Amanda, bus operator. Okay.
I'm Ken Neese, I'm doing good. Just Roderick, which we know is missing, running late. No time constraints, no elephants. I'd like to make progress.
Good evening, my name is Arlise Williams. I'm the Vice President of Transportation. I think I missed one. I'm doing well. Rod is on his way. Time constraint, the 6:15 sounds good to me. No elephants, and the same, make progress.
Good afternoon or evening. Tony Abrams, bookkeeper at Royal Palm Exceptional School, Vice President of Clerical for SPALC. I'm doing well. Missing has been noted. No time constraints, no elephants, and my expectations is to make progress.
Good evening, my name is Jenny Bennett. I work at Printing Services. I am the Vice President for Central Services. I'm doing fine. Missing has been noted. I have no time constraints, no elephants, and my expectations are to make progress.
Good evening, I'm Vivian Hawkins. I'm doing fine. Missing Rob, he'll be here soon. Time constraint is good to me. No elephants, no expectation, and to get something done tonight.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rafael Cruz. I'm doing excellent. Missing have been noted. No time constraints, no elephants, and my expectation is to get some progress.
Okay, well.
I'm Will Rottenberg. I'm doing well. I would add Rob Dodig to missing. Dr. Martin is at a conference tonight. No time constraints here, no elephants, expectation. I'm going to go with get something done.
Good evening. I'm Heather Leonard. I'm doing well tonight.
Should be.
I got it all tonight. Missing have been noted, I believe. I don't have any time constraints or elephants or expectations. I hope to get something done. So lecture, I'm fine. Missing noted, no time constraints or elephants and expectations to get something done.
Hello, everybody. I'm doing Kurt. I'm doing great. At 6:30 on the street, and all things, and my preparations are all in full.
Good evening, I'm Rob Gordon.
I'm Christine Road, doing fine, just noted, no time concerns, expectations to improve.
Barbara Cedino, Assistant Director for Maintenance Services. I'm doing well. Missing as noted, no time constraints, no elephants. The expectations is to get something done. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Candy Messenger, Director of Food and Nutrition Services. I'm doing fine. Missing has been noted. No time constraints, no elephants, and my expectation is to get something done. Good afternoon, I'm Bonnie McFarland. I'm doing well. Missing is noted. No time constraints beyond our 7 o'clock end time. No elephants, and expectation, get something done.
I'm Jamie Browder. I'm doing great. Missing have been noted. No time constraints, even though I like the 6:15. No elephants, and get something done.
I'm Shannon Johnston, I'm doing great, missing's been noted, no time constraints, no elephants, expect to get something done.
Hi, I'm Suzette. I'm doing well. Missing has been noted. No time constraints. No elephants, and my expectations are to make progress.
Amy French. I'm doing well. Missing has been noted. No time constraints. I love that 6:15 Kurt. No elephants. My expectations are to make progress tonight.
And Amanda Guzman, we're doing well. No time constraints or elephants, expectation to make progress.
All right. On our agenda tonight, we did a check-in. We're starting with our article TBD on professional development. Do we want to start with a story on this one? Or do we have to snack that?
Amy,
Yes.
do we need to start with minutes?
Oh, yes, we do. We need to start with minutes. Sorry. We need to start with minutes. So, were the minutes, everybody has minutes? Emailed them? Okay. So Amanda will start with that. Do we have anybody make minutes on what date?
So we have 4 sets,
Okay.
September 20th,
So September 20th, we'll start that.
November 29th.
Do you want to start September 20th first?
Sure. Do the rest of the dates.
Yeah.
December 15th, January 12th.
Thank you. We want to start anything from September 20th. Will?
I'll just talk loud so it turns into we did send those out via email. I think that we got some of the feedback through the voting buttons, but I know that not everyone is used to using those Outlook voting buttons. And again, we wanted to make sure that we had approval kind of at the table before we put those minutes up on the website for everyone else to see.
Okay. Anybody have any changes they need to make to the September 20th minutes? No, we're good with those? So do we want to give a thumbs up to approve those September 20th minutes? Thumbs up if you agree with that? All right, one more person, hold on. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have approval for the September 20th minutes. Thank you, everyone. Looking at the November 29th minutes, any changes we want to make to those? Any comments? Seeing no changes, are we good to approve the November 29th minutes? Give me a thumbs up if you're okay to approve those minutes. Minutes are, one more time here. Let's see. Arlene, are you okay with those minutes in the 29th? You're still reading, you need more time? You more time, okay.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right. Okay. Approved of the November 29th minutes. We're going on to the December 15th minutes. If you guys look at those, if anybody has any questions or comments about those, please raise your hand. We need more time to read over those things over here. Shake your head, need more time. All right, take a vote on approving the minutes for November 20, I'm sorry, December 15th. Give me a thumbs up if you approve those minutes. Looks good. Minutes approved. This is very encouraging. All right, the January 12th minutes. Look at those. Kurt, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. Will the SPALC salary presentation be attached on the posted version online?
Yes, now it's working. Yes, I think that's the plan, and if we don't have that from Mr. Tuttle, I think we can reach out to him to make sure that we get it.
Any other questions or comments on January 12th, or do you guys need some more time? Shake your head if you need more time. Okay, we're good, okay. All right, let's take a vote on the January 12th minutes. If we approve those, give me a thumbs up, please. Look at this. 4 approvals right around. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for that reminder too, Kurt.
Yes.
All right, now we will go on to the agenda first item, which is an article of TBD for professional development. Do we need to start with a snapshot or just story? What would you like to start?
So I think we have the snapshots. I think they were in one of the sets of minutes that we just approved. I guess kind of as a little bit of catch up, and I don't remember exactly where we left things at bargaining, but I know there was an interest in adding an article on professional development. We had a similar discussion with the TALC bargaining team earlier this week about what language we would like to include in there. The SPALC Labor Management Committee, I think, has maybe seen this language or was at least aware that there was a draft in progress. We sent that out to everyone and can put it up on the screen. It's pretty short and sweet and really just captures what the district already does in terms of professional development for employees. And the language is similar for SPALC, not exactly the same as TALC, but trying to get that up there right now so everyone can see it. I probably should zoom in. Hopefully you guys don't have any like really difficult questions on this stuff because Dr. Martin is not here tonight. I told her I would do my best to help answer some of those just general questions. And again, it kind of tracks with what the state's requirements are for the district in terms of offering professional development, how it's tracked, the commitment to survey employees to find out what professional development they're interested in. Onboarding is included in there, and we had some discussion with TALC around mandatory trainings. And I know that professional development has come to SPALC and TALC Labor Management the past couple of years to talk about everyone's favorite trainings, asbestos, bloodborne pathogens, the things that you learn about every year, whether you need to or not. And so they were looking into some of the requirements for that, where it says in policy, where it says in statute, where it says because of some agreement that the district entered into that people would be required to, take those trainings. And they were reviewing that with, I think, an interest of making sure that we're not just adding requirements that if some of those are things that we're no longer required to do, that maybe they could be taken away, or maybe they could be replaced with trainings that are a little bit more relevant to people's work. And again, trying not to overwhelm people. The one other thing just to add, and I'm not sure if this is something that everyone on the bargaining teams is aware of, but again, it's a discussion that's been going on for a couple months now in labor management. There's also a SPALC version of the Welcome Aboard training that's been in development. That's a training that comes about a month after someone's initial onboarding and has more information for people about how does payroll work, how does insurance and benefits work, how does compensation work, how do I make sure that I've got things, turned into the right person now that I kind of have an idea of what my day-to-day is like, because we know that at new employee orientation, you're kind of starstruck and overwhelmed, and you might not have all of the questions on hand. And so again, that training has been in place for instructional staff for a couple of years now. There's a modified version of that we hope to be able to launch soon that does the exact same thing for all support staff. I think, and I'm looking to Amy to this, I think we can open that up to anyone that's interested in taking it because it is an online format. I know that when we first started doing it with instructional staff, it was in person. It was Thursday nights here at the district office. People kind of came begrudgingly and had to suffer through a presentation that I did. Probably had more fun in the presentation that Kim and payroll staff put together, and I know Bonnie and her team, also had a more fun presentation. We moved to offering it online. One of the things that we heard right away from instructional staff was there were, kind of, I don't know if arguments would be the right word, but there were discussions then about some of the information that people learned in that Welcome Aboard training, and the new people were coming back and saying, did you know that this is the way that insurance is set up? Did you know that, you can go into self-service for payroll, and people were saying, we don't have that here. And, I've worked here forever, and nobody told me that that existed. So again, then we had some requests from people who have been here for a while to say, okay, can I get that same training, or can I have access to it? Because, if there's some of those, this is how our school district is set up, here's some of these things, I'm interested in learning about that, or I'm interested in staying up to date on what's going on. And so again, I think it's something that's new, but something that's been beneficial to employees.
Any questions or comments over here? Kurt?
I guess I have a question about existing contract language. I'm looking through the looking through the SPALC contract, and under 10.03, there is a professional development section which also speaks to tuition reimbursement, trade certifications, and an incentive payment for attending other professional development opportunities. Is the intent to keep these items in Article 10, or lift these specific items and put them in the new Article 14?
Will?
So I think there's also maybe some language in Article 6 about like safety-related trainings that gets into like the trainings that paraprofessionals receive anytime you have a medically fragile student, or some of the training that maintenance and custodial staff get around handling certain chemicals or machinery. I think as like a housekeeping measure, we probably would want to have a conversation around some of that stuff, and where should that language live? Not saying that we necessarily would need to modify any of the existing language. However, with that, I will say Dr. Martin asked for me to kind of put this out there as something that maybe we could have some discussion about at a later bargaining session where she's present, and that is that the compensation was discussed for talc, and what the training rate was. She wanted to have a similar conversation. I'm not as comfortable with some of that stuff as I'm sure she is. I just don't know as much about it. But I know that one of the things that stood out was, I think one of the current training incentives is like $125 for 25 hours of coursework. That's $5 an hour. As you guys can imagine, they probably don't see a lot of people submitting, the paperwork for $5 an hour. I just know, again, some of that involves grant funding that she's responsible for managing, and without her here to talk about it, I don't know that we're ready to go there, but I think we would be ready to talk about it maybe at the next session.
You took the math right out of my mouth. I was doing the math. It's $5.21 an hour. But I think just based on some of the other conversations that have been happening related to the increase in the hourly, increase in minimum wage and things of that nature, this doesn't necessarily have to be an option. I know we'll talk about this at a future session. I think $15 an hour is a good place to start at, or to look at it at a ballpark too. And I see we don't have any interests on the professional development article. I know SPALC would have an interest in employee retention, employee morale, and appropriate compensation for work provided. But again, I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we'll talk about that at another session.
Well, I'm sorry, can you just repeat that? It was retention, morale, and one more thing, I'm sorry, for your interest?
Appropriate compensation for work performed.
Okay, thank you. Will?
I feel obligated as like the district side to also put manageability, equity, affordability as interest. I think one of the other ones, and I think this is kind of captured in in some of the language there, and I can scroll down a little bit more if people are ready, if you want to see like the last little bit of that page, if you haven't had a chance to see it. One of the other things I think that came out of some of the discussions with professional development was also like workforce skills development, supporting people as they, are on kind of their career path, and making sure that they're staying current with whatever the requirements are for their position, whether it's, a licensed, certified position, whatever, just making sure that people have, the skills that they need. I guess addressing the skills gap would be the short way of saying that.
Any other discussion on this TBD article? Is this something that's going to be talked about further in labor management? Are we putting up an option for this? Or is this just to capture some discussion?
So I know that I've probably done most of the talking. I would say, again, I think just from my perspective, I think most of the language that's here is pretty non-controversial. I would be interested if the group is, comfortable with it, to test this language, or to put an option up there to maybe consider this language. But I also think the parts that Kerr mentioned, I wouldn't want that to be like a closed door on some of the discussions about compensation. And again, I would kind of leave it open-ended to, or anything else that Dr. Martin and her staff feel like is maybe left out of this, because I'm sure that there are other, questions that you guys might have that she would be better able to answer about, what training opportunities exist, what is the usage rate of some of the current, training certification reimbursement.
How does this capture an option?
So my option would be to adopt the proposed language, and then I've got another option, or second part of that option.
Do you want to listen as 1 and 2, or just as a
Conjunction junction. It can be A and B as the same option, but to adopt the proposed language and then to return to discuss compensation as it relates to this, and also housekeeping as it relates to this. So I think I maybe just added a third part, sorry. Definitely.
So as proposed, we have an option of adopt the proposed language and return to discuss compensation and housekeeping. Kirk, comment?
At first read, this language looks rather innocuous. I mean, like Will said, we just discussed this at town bargaining earlier this week. I would like to take a caucus and discuss with the team, and maybe we can come back and reach consensus on some of these items.
All right, thank you. How long do you think you'll need?
15?
All right, great. You're gonna go into the flipper room?
Sure.
All right. Do you guys need to talk? Or would you like? everybody's back now. Who is? Oh, Vivian.
Only them.
You want to do a check-in then? We'll do a check-in while you're here, if you don't mind, while everybody gets settled in. So, and it's.
Right. Roger Colton, I'm doing okay. No time constraints, no elephant, expectation is no progress.
Thank you for checking in. Everybody back now? No, we're waiting for one more person. It's like, or do you want us to wait for them to return?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Of course.
Well, the match is wrong.
SPALC, you have requested a short caucus. Do you want to do a caucus report for us real quickly, please?
Sure thing. So we discussed the draft language at length and just had a couple of little comments that came out of our discussion. So I think overall we're rather comfortable with the language. I think what we would like to see is I guess more of a deliberate focus on the part of the district to offer courses that are directly applicable to support staff. And I know that that's something that professional development is working on, but it's, we're looking more to grow our own. And when we looked at the latest PD offerings, I don't believe there were any courses that were available or I'm sorry, applicable to support staff. There was some conversation about some members wanting to take courses like some of the Six Sigma courses, but being required to pay for them, out of their own pocket, or wanting to take an Apples course or a Photoshop course and being denied because that was for the instructional unit. So making some of those other courses available to all employees is where we want to see it kind of move to. And one other concern that's unique to support staff is just the accessibility. We were talking historically about the use of computer labs in the building for some PD offerings and maybe we can look at doing something like that to make it so that more staff are, able to access these remote options.
Thank you, Kurt.
I think I might be about to say the same thing that Bonnie would, which is that there are a bunch of online on-demand trainings available through the EAP platform. We also have the Safe Schools stuff that's available, that there's all kinds of different trainings beyond just the required ones. I know that I think Kevin at TALC brought up an interest to have FERPA or HIPAA training. I think there are some of those trainings, project manager trainings. There's a whole bunch of stuff, basic office skills. We probably can, do more to highlight or to advertise some of that. And I think what you said too about accessibility, that would be a conversation. I think if people have not had that with whoever their direct supervisor is, I would encourage them to start there. And then if there's not, support from that, or there seem to be other roadblocks, that maybe we could come back to labor management with that. We did not caucus, but just kind of during the break, a couple people brought up that there are some trainings that are not captured in the Article 6 language. And so, for example, Candy mentioned that there's extensive training that's provided to food services that's not currently recorded in the SPALC contract. It's in federal laws, that they have to teach people about safe handling of food and storage and serving and that kind of stuff. But I think there's maybe an opportunity, as we're doing some of that housekeeping, to maybe do a little bit more of that inventory, or again, point people in the direction of some of those things that are already existing, just so that there's a broader awareness of it.
Bonnie, do you want to add anything to that? What I was actually looking for in my computer while Will was talking was the link to that information. So for the principals who were in the principals meeting today, the link, there's actually a QR code that we gave out to you in your books today. And when you go into the EAP, there's a tile, when you get to create a login. The only part that's hard about that, because most of it is, your name, your first name, last name, et cetera. The only part that's at all hard is your organization, which is the school district of Lee County, Florida. So if you start typing the school district, it'll pop up. And then once you're signed into a sign-in, the top left tile is trainings. And there's literally over 1,000 technology trainings that are available through the EAP. There's training on Outlook, there's training on how to use Excel, there's training on all kinds of stuff. And like Will said, it's included in the price that the district pays for employees to have the EAP, and that is available to all employees. So it's a great resource for that training component. And I've encouraged principals, like if you have a new employee who's struggling in a certain area, that's a great place to say, hey, go watch this video and they can teach you how to use Outlook or how to use Excel, or, and there's all kinds of levels of training, intro, beginner, intermediate, high level, like pivot tables and crazy stuff like that. Okay. Will?
One of the other things too, and I know that this had been something that Jamie had brought up, in the past and tried to promote, was the degree programs that are offered to union members, through their union membership. So that's not a district thing, but I don't know if that's something, or if there's other professional development that's offered through FEA that we would want to reference there as well. I think some of it is probably just making people aware of what's out there and putting it in a more obvious place, and then helping them navigate, once they know that it's there and they know to ask for that assistance if they need it.
You okay with that?
Of course.
Okay.
We do have trainings tiles on our internal thesschools.net page, and we do have supports. We have a tile for support staff, but we don't have anything there. I'm wondering if that's a place where we could house some of that information. Maybe just have to raise more work for myself, more likely to person for our department. But that is something. If somebody sends me an email to remind me that I can look at tomorrow, because I'm here and teach around. Okay, Pat, is back on, thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. And Will, I was going to mention that. I appreciate that the shout out about the free college. We've been doing a better job at educating our members on that. But there is opportunity for free associates and bachelor degree programs. And FEA has revitalized their professional development department. And I believe we have a partnership with your department, Amy, to do some trainings over the summer. So maybe we were talking in caucus about doing more deliberate support staff focused professional development offerings as well.
Thank you, good. Any other comments? Will still, oh, yep, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. And Bonnie, you know that whenever a teacher or support comes and says, how do I use Outlook? They send them directly to school tech.
I have no doubt. All right, Will did put up an option with 3 parts. It is adopt the proposed language for professional development and return to discuss compensation and housekeeping. Will, do you want to call to test that now, or do we have some more discussion about that?
Go ahead.
I think we can call the test if everyone's comfortable with, the story being captured.
Okay, so if you agree with this PD option to adopt the proposed language, return to discuss compensation and housekeeping, may thumbs up, please. Over here. All right, circle in orange. Nice. Woo-hoo. Okay, so on the next article we have down here are some proposed MOUs. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I wanted to get this thought out before I forgot. I'm not sure the last time that SPALC did a joint communication. Maybe it would be nice to add a few of these links about the PD offerings in the next joint communication.
We can definitely do that, and I think we probably, now that we have minutes, all of the minutes caught up and approved, we can also send out the link to everyone so that people that have not stayed up to date on bargaining are aware of that, but include, like you're saying, the EAP. If you guys want to share the link for the degree program, we can put all that out. Absolutely.
Okay. Our proposed MOUs. We had quite a few of them. Do we need to put a story on this? Will, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so my computer died, but I know that I emailed these out. Yeah, if you can put it, or if you just want to put it up on the screen, if you have Intel Unite or no. Okay. Anyway, while we figure out that stuff, I think you guys have had the chance to look those over. I think that they went out to SPALC maybe or to all the teams like maybe a few days ago. Is that right? So just to give a quick overview, there were 3 MOUs that were put out there for consideration at some point. One had to do with classroom coverage being provided by paraprofessionals and the rate at which that's being paid. One had to do with an interest and some discussion that's going on about paraprofessionals and trying to consolidate the job descriptions so that we don't have a bunch of different helping teacher paraprofessional job descriptions that are all kind of responsible for similar or the same things. And then the other one had to do with some of the ESSER funds and an offer kind of from the district to try and look at another retention bonus at the end of the school year of $1,000 and an attendance bonus or supplement that would be paid based on attendance on certain days that we've looked at where there's an expected high absenteeism. And so that's just kind of general overview. We can go into the details of those kind of one by one if you guys would like. I don't know which one you'd like to start with.
Okay, Kurt?
I propose that we start with the classroom coverage MOU.
All right, go ahead, start the classroom coverage MOU. Any comment on that to start with?
So the SPALC bargaining team had a very robust team meeting on Tuesday to discuss all three of these MOUs. The only concern that we had on this one was the date at the bottom was incorrect. And so it should say 2022 instead of July 1st, 2021.
That's an easy fix.
The other thing I'd like to talk about is that in the section where we talk about the dollars, I would like it to state that it is from ESSER funds as long as they are available within the bargaining amount that the board has approved.
Kelly, you're thinking in that third paragraph?
As the amount, any amount as the board approved.
And I think what Kelly is saying is like contingent upon the availability of ESSER funds, something similar to what we've had in place for some of the other classroom coverage type agreements.
Okay. Any more comments, discussions about this classroom coverage MOU?
Is there a question?
Good.
No? Yes. Exhaustion. That's it.
Go ahead, Bob.
I just wanted to put this out there. Sorry for the sidebar with Kelly. I was making sure that I understood. So the ESSER funding, I think is like set for three kind of waves: ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, and we have to get state approval on how we plan on spending that money. And so that's where Kelly was saying there was. Of the millions of dollars that the federal government has given us, we're still subject to state approval on that. And so a certain amount of that ESSER 2 money has been already approved for classroom coverage specifically. And so that was where she was talking about. It's not an endless pot of money. All of that stuff is subject to state approval. So just wanted to make sure that that was clear and captured in the minutes.
Thank you. Clarifying that. Kurt?
So Will, do you want to use a line that says something to the effect of the agreement will be effective, today and remain so until the exhaustion of ESSER funding or the ratification of a subsequent collective bargaining agreement? I think that's the language that we used in the class coverage MOU to cover the same, on the instructional side, to cover the same issue.
I would be okay with that as far as the effective date. I know when we did it for class coverage for TALC, we were still a couple weeks out. So I'm kind of wondering from an implementation standpoint, and I don't know. I would kind of defer to others on the team. Like, is there a set date? Like, does it make does it make the most sense to say, starting Monday? Or does starting today work? How do we do it just so that we have accurate record keeping and so that everyone knows?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to throw a wrench in the plan over the date. It was more so just the language that we used. I think that language has been throughout a few of the MOUs related to ESSER and would handle the concern.
Do you want to put the language up now, or is it something we're doing in labor management? How do you want us to capture that?
You can put it up now if you want. If you just want to copy it off this. Just like that line, that and remain until ESSER funding. That's what we've been using. Thanks, Amy.
So I just had a clarification question, sorry. When you
Let's do a second to get caught up here.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other comments or discussions on this?
Ken had one.
Kim did, I'm sorry.
Ken.
Oh, Ken, I'm sorry.
So I know in the past it was, for elementary, for the paras, it was coverage for a full day, and for secondary, it was for a block. Is that still gonna remain the same?
Okay.
So I think you asked one of the questions that was just brought up in another one of our sidebars, which was that this would be modifying the existing MOU. So yes, there's those same, kind of parameters around the amount of coverage that you'd be expected to provide would still exist. We can make that more explicit if we need to. And I know that we were having some conversation, and so I'll defer to Kim. She said that Monday would definitely be feasible. I don't know in terms of implementation time frame. Okay, so they said that the earnings code set up, so it's an easy change. There is not work on Monday. Is that? Is that for everyone?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so Tuesday then. I am on the calendar committee, but I don't know what's going on one day to the next. I just show up. So thank you for that good news.
So just a question to Kim. Does that mean that payment will occur on the end of February paycheck then?
No, that'll be.
I'm being, trying to throw that out there.
No, 3:15.
3:15, okay.
I don't know if there's any more story, but before we test, we'd like to call a quick caucus.
You want to run over there?
Next door.
here, so good job. I'm assuming it's going to be a chapter-long caucus report.
I will try and make the caucus report as short as the caucus itself. I'm getting better and better at the Kagan strategy of. So we discussed specifically the supplement or synthesis payment that's already been offered to date. We do have the ability to figure out who's already been paid and make the adjustment. And so we would like to look at an effective date of January 12th, which is the start of the second semester. It adds a few more days to that, but it would not be a whole lot of extra work on my part. This feels the same, but we felt like that might be something that would
Okay. Just want to start.
All right, Kirk?
So then I just want to make sure that we have the option, we're all on the same page. So the option is to let me start over. Adopt the draft language, discuss compensation later, do some housekeeping, add the line about contingency.
Well, we already.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry. All right, let me start this, let me try this one.
Okay, I was like, oh.
Adopt draft language, add the line about contingent upon ESSER funds, and make the effective date January 12th. Sorry?
Yes, and maybe add the reference about this is an amendment of the other MOU, so that 2 hours, just clarify that.
Okay, then I think we're all on the same page, so we're ready to test this out.
Okay, I found that we did not know whether it was an actual option. So we need to get something together as an option over here. So I apologize for that.
Well, hey, I was looking at the first one, so.
Can you still list?
Sure. So the option was the draft language.
Of what? Language of?
Article 14. I'm sorry, MOU. Wow. Wow.
For classroom coverage.
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
It's been a long week.
It has.
I'm gonna take these notes over here. So I'll look at them. We're adding the line about the funds being contingent upon, ESSER funds. The date is going to be fixed, which was an easy fix. Effective date, January 12th. And a note that this is modifying the existing class coverage MOU for parents.
Thank you. This is the MOU language. So I'm going to read it as we have it written here. Let me know if we need to make any changes. So I think it's supposed to be adopt language.
Yeah.
Adopt language of MOU for classroom coverage. Add a line about ESSER funds with the effective date of January 12th. And note that we are modifying existing MOU language and then have that date changed to 2022. Do we want us to clarify anything in this note? Do we need to make any change, anything to it? We're good as is. You guys are good with that?
Yes.
So I did here call the test. So if you agree with this option for the classroom coverage MOU, if you could show your vote, please. Nobody saw that as a reform. Over here. All right, another orange circle. Great job. Okay. The other MOU that we were talking about, we want to go with professional, the paraprofessional, classroom helper, job description consolidation, or the ESSER funds retention bonus.
Let's do the helping teacher para
Job description
MOU, yes.
Okay. Who would like to start on that? Will?
Just to give a little bit more background and kind of why we are interested in having a discussion about this now, but with an effective date later. This is obviously a really big change in terms of what it would take, you know, on the back end to make everything happen. I think that there's some conversations that will need to take place in SPALC labor management around some of the details and implementation of this. So again, I know this is a big ask. I know that it's something that we've spent a lot of time talking about in SPALC labor management, and so would again just say, I think even if we could get agreement in concept around some of these issues, that would be a huge win for tonight, just with the amount of information that we're asking people to kind of think through.
All right, so as I mentioned before, the SPALC bargaining team had robust discussions earlier this week around these MOUs, and there were, I guess, 3 pieces that we just wanted to have some further discussion on. The first piece is the reclassification under a single job description with a market rate of $15 an hour. Just was curious where that came from. The second piece is around the 4th paragraph about the impact to seniority, and was curious how someone's seniority would be impacted just by the change in the job description. And the third piece is the second to last paragraph, adding the differential pay. And we were curious about the training that the ESE paras, would receive to do the hygiene duties, and what would happen to the existing hygiene supplement.
Kirk, can I ask, can you go back to the first one, reclassification? You said something and I heard $15.
Yeah, there's a line about the job descriptions will be reclassified under a single description with a market rate of $15 an hour.
Thank you.
So I think I can give some quick, kind of overview responses to some of those questions, and then might need to, defer to others for more detail. For the first question about reclass and the $15 an hour, so there was a draft job description that was shared at SPALC Labor Management. We can make sure that we make that available to everyone, but now that we have everyone meeting the highly qualified standard, regardless of whether they're a helping teacher or a paraprofessional, I think some of the distinctions between the existing job descriptions are no longer necessary. And so that is one of the reasons for that reclassified under one job description. I think that a couple of the other pieces, again, we've all heard people say, a para is a para is a para. People are pulled in different directions, asked to do different things, and that might be true to a certain extent, but I think there are, certain settings where paras are asked to do, unique duties or take on more challenging assignments. And so again, I think that helps eliminate some of the confusion around that, and kind of some of the discussion about the ESE job code and the difference there. That's where that comes in. But the market rate of $15 an hour, to be completely honest, we put that in there kind of as a placeholder. I think there was an interest in looking at the market rate. I think the market rate, according to ERI and some of the FLDOE data, might be higher than that. In fact, I know it's higher than that. But I think that is a conversation that we would want to have as part of our broader conversation about compensation. $15 an hour, though, was set because, as Kerr mentioned, there's a new minimum wage that will be in effect in the next couple of years. And then the other piece of that is, I believe, $14.97 is a step at a pay grade 5, which is among the paraprofessional helping teacher positions, the higher pay grade. It's the most that someone could make if they were hired today into one of those positions, again, based on experience. So that was in an effort to kind of, kill two birds with one stone, get us to, to the minimum wage, and also kind of max us out based on what the current experience credit would allow for in those positions. So I guess that's kind of the response to the first question. Does that more or less address the question? Okay. So going on to the second question, and I'll defer a little bit to Heather here, but I think in terms of impact to seniority, it wouldn't change anyone's seniority date. Your seniority date is what your seniority date is. It might change where you would be in a list of, who's the most senior in your location. Because if you combine two positions and someone was hired before you, they would be before you. So there may be a better way to phrase that. I think, the part in there about no reduction in force anticipated, I think, everyone's pretty much aware of that. We're hurting for people. We don't have enough people, so I don't think that really would be a major concern. It would be more of, where you would be relative to other people working under that same position. And then the other piece is, I think there's an opportunity to try and align some of the job codes with some of the state job codes, and then to maybe examine some of the outliers, like the cafeteria paraprofessional. At some point we had talked about a separate job description for that. Is that really necessary? Are there some of those that maybe those specific duties, should fall under different job descriptions? A couple of the ones that I think are kind of obvious: Brailleist, interpreter. Those are specialized skills that I think are maybe already on their own job description, on their own market rate. But it would give us, again, the opportunity to just kind of review all of those positions and see if there's any need for minor tweaks to better align our district job codes with what the state has.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments? Kurt?
So just to clarify, this would collapse the para and helping teacher job. So if Mary was a helping teacher hired in, say, 2000, and I was para hired in 2005, then her district seniority would be higher than mine, or because she was hired before me. But we're collapsing both of those lists into one list. So my individual district seniority would not be altered, but someone who may have more seniority than me may lead me on that schedule, on that list, when the two job descriptions are married. Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Are any of these options that we didn't know we need to add? No.
I don't think he had. So I guess to answer the third question, and then I think Heather just pointed out to me, we might have the same wrong year on the bottom of this one as we did on the other one, so that would be something that we would want to. Oh, implementation date maybe says 21. And maybe should say 22, July 1, 2022. Okay. Maybe it says immediately at the bottom.
Yes, Yes, emergency implementation.
Okay, yeah, so July 1, 2022. This is not obviously like something that we can just flip a switch and have it done tomorrow or Tuesday. To answer the third one though, so again, in recognizing that, like, again, that people say a para is a para is a para, that is not always the case. We do have, based on our current structure, some differentiation of pay. People working at special centers, we'd like to look at, for people working under that ESE job code, some of those people receive the hygiene supplement. My understanding is that some do not. I know that there's a lot of tension around that. We've had calls and complaints and concerns in the past about not just diapering and toileting of students, but also that there's trach care, there's catheterization stuff that needs to be done. There's a lot more intensive medical needs, with students as time goes by. And so that $500, annually is not really enough. And I don't think anyone ever really thought it was. We've had people who have called us and said, that's 32 cents per diaper, based on the average number of diapers I change in a year. So I think looking at that, I want to say that ESE teachers receive a supplement that's, $1,000 a year. It's prorated. So if you work a longer year or don't work a longer year, it's available for summer school pay. I think that's something that we would want to talk about, looking at as like a component of pay, potentially. But again, would want to identify, is that all ESE job codes? Is that something that would be for people in self-contained classrooms? There's some implementation details around that, but again, I think the intent was to recognize that there is a difference in the expectation. As far as the training goes, again, one of the things I think that people have said is a point of frustration is at one school you're required to have, training on how to do a Hoyer lift. At another, you're required in an ESE classroom to have teach training. To maybe be able to identify what some of those trainings are, maybe create a supplemental job description if that would be the way to do it, or to somehow, again, kind of capture what the expectation is, and then make that consistent across the board so that at one school, it's not different from another school, and everyone would know, there's consistency, and if you moved between schools, you've got the training, or you would need to get the training in order to receive that additional compensation.
Questions or comments on this?
I guess my biggest question at this point would be, how will you determine the ESE job code? Is it gonna be like by school, or kind of how will that work?
Okay, well,
So I guess there's, my understanding with the job codes is that some of the positions already have some designation that they are an ESE paraprofessional. I think at Title I schools it maybe does not. So there would need to be some research done, some investigation kind of into, again, like which of these positions, which of these people, if there's not already a consistent expectation at some of those Title I schools that this is the person in the ESE classroom, we would want to look into that. And that also goes back to like the alignment of job codes with the state job codes. One of the other things, and I think I skipped over this, but it goes with the, kind of reversing people's perception about a para is a para is a para is we've also heard some conversation from schools about, when, 2-3 years ago, we did have enough staff that if there was a school that was losing a paraprofessional unit, that they weren't going straight seniority because they needed to make sure that they had enough ESOL paraprofessionals to meet student need. That's another thing I think that maybe could be captured in some of this is that by putting everyone under that same job code, we still would need to look at that student need. But again, it would give you that flexibility to have people move between positions more easily, where right now, like with the Title I, if a school loses their Title I status, the paraprofessionals at that school are asked, do you want to move to a different school, or do you want to take a reduction in pay? And those are kind of the options. This would in some ways help us avoid ever having to put someone in that position again.
Thanks for asking that.
Good question. Any other questions or comments on this? Yes, Kurt.
So, Will, you mentioned earlier that you were looking for some sort of consensus on maybe the general idea. It sounds like we still need to wordsmith this a little bit. I'm not really sure how to proceed with testing the idea.
Okay, what?
I would say, and I don't know, again, would kind of defer to some of the others on the team. I think if conceptually this is something, that we could get agreement to, and we could go back to SPALC labor management and maybe work out the details, figure out if there's any specific data, that people would want to see. Again, I think with a decision this big, we didn't want to make it without input from everyone at the table. So even if it's something that we say, okay, we're good with that, go ahead, you can look at signing an MOU later, but just to be able to have the discussion and hear from people, including people that might be impacted. Because again, I think this is a couple months worth of work on the district side of things to make this happen. But there's an interest, and as we've kind of discussed, there's a bunch of different reasons why this could be a positive for everyone involved.
Okay. So, Kurt?
I'm happy to test the idea conceptually with the notes, that we have here, that the $15 an hour is the placeholder, for lack of a better word, and send this back to labor management for further, I guess, wordsmithing, discussion, implementation. I'm sorry? The wording? Yeah, we can wordsmith that.
So the way we're going to write this is that with option on the conceptual idea of job description consolidation for paras and how many teachers?
Yes.
$15 an hour. Placeholder. Cleanup language for labor management. Good? Okay, let her get that all captured.
Do you have a question?
You got Penny first, and
I'm
then.
sorry, Penny?
Okay, my question is this. I understand that you have paras that work in regular schools, and then you have paras in special centers. Are you also looking at another incentive for those paras that have to work in special centers like Buckingham and Royal Palm?
Will?
So I think that's a good question. I think the majority, if not all of those people, would fall under that ESE job code. So they would be eligible for that. One of the things that I would say too is, I think we had some discussion about, again, this being kind of a foundation. So I think looking at some of that, there were also just, looking ahead and some sidebar conversations about this. This puts, roughly 1,200 people under one job description. It would make kind of the para job description the second biggest job description behind classroom teacher, and would maybe allow us to kind of streamline and look at training opportunities and other differentiation of pay moving forward. I think, again, I think we have the option for conceptually, if we've got enough story kind of out there tonight, we would like to call for another brief caucus. I'll try and make it as quick as the last one so that we can. Do you guys have anything else?
Caucus? All right, you're good? I got two broken. So, are we ready?
And all in order to sugar cookie?
With coconut.
Yes. Okay. Let's get the conference report for us.
Yeah, so we talked about a little bit of the discussion around the MOU, some of the challenges that we're kind of anticipating from an implementation and communication standpoint, and we came up with an option. I don't know if Kurt had an option, but we had an option. There might be a second option.
I don't know, we didn't have any options.
No? Okay. I thought we had one.
So this is a job description option?
Well, no, we had an option.
We did?
We did.
Oh, okay.
The $15 placeholder, spell improvement for language. Sexual idea job description.
Do you need me to add, another option on?
Yeah, I don't want to modify Kurt. It's going to be very similar to what he's already got up there, but.
I'm just gonna leave that there and get the notes on it. Go ahead, Bud. I'm gonna put it there. Oh, you are?
So we kind of had three parts to our option as well. It was an agreement concept to the language in the MOU.
Okay.
We wanted to clarify I'll explain this and then I'll give you the second part of the option. That $15 now, again, that was a placeholder for the discussion. So we wanted to say market rate to be determined. Because we wanted to give you guys an accurate costing of, how many people, where's the funding coming from, all of that kind of stuff before we lock anything in.
Should we add that market rate to be determined?
Yeah, market rate TBD.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And then the third piece was more discussion at SPALC labor management. So like I said, I think that's very similar to what Kurt's option was already.
Okay, any discussion on this option? Kurt?
I don't know if we want to talk about this now or add it to the discussed in labor management, but there was one other question that came up regarding the amount of $1,000 per year as a differential pay. Is that per work year or is it for the calendar year? The reason why I ask is how would summer school work? Regarding this $1,000 differential pay.
We did talk about it.
So we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about that because that's part of the implementation, and I hope that I'm going to capture this right. But we were talking about should that be a supplement or a component of pay? I think there are some distinctions in there in terms of does it just attach to that job code, so anyone in that job code receives that money? Is it something that you have to submit additional documentation, the school has to do extra work? Obviously, I don't think that would be preferred on either side. We're trying to create less work, not more. But again, I think that's something that we felt like through labor management we could talk about. I believe the component of pay then would be $1,000 kind of based on the fiscal year. But we could look into how each of those would affect, like, is this something that if you're working summer school, if you're working additional hours, but it's typically, I believe, proportional based on your FTE and based off of that, so.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, we'll get you the microphone, sorry.
I'll say something. Thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome. It's on.
Okay,
Okay. Doing summer school, they already doing that. They already, like, if you're not getting a hygiene supplement through the year, and you go and work for summer school, because I know I did it, and they paid me the supplement. I just filled out the paper, so they are doing it. It's just that if you want to get in and work, because I did it over to Ada Baker when I worked over there just this summer. And they paid me the hygiene pay for it.
I think that's consistent with if we did it as a component of pay, and so.
But I didn't get, I'm sorry, Will, let me just.
No problem.
I didn't get the whole thing, I just got, like you said, for those 2 weeks. I think it was
Yes.
2 weeks or 3 weeks. I just got for that prorated amount.
I think we would basically figure out like what that $1,000 would be equivalent to in terms of like hourly rate. So if it's another, 30 cents an hour, and that annually equals 1,000, but then you work more, I think that's the exact same conversation that we were having. So, but again, we can cost some of that stuff out. We can try and figure out what specific positions, especially at those Title I, especially as it relates to the ESE, and make sure that that's clear before there's a solid agreement.
If there's no other discussion, I think Will's option is worded a lot better than mine, so I would like to call to test option 2.
Any other discussions for option 2?
Oh, I'm sorry. There was
We did a
a
question. Thank you.
I have a question. So the $1,000 a year, is that ESSER funds or is that recurring?
I don't know. Will?
So that's one of the implementation things that we didn't talk about, but I think the intent would be that would be general fund money if we had consensus around that wouldn't be something that would go away in 2 years. Because again, we're already paying people for the hygiene supplement. That $500 would go away and be replaced with this.
Very good question.
Thank you, good question. All right, we're gonna call the test. So the option is option 2, agreement and concept of the MOU for the paraprofessional helping teacher description, market rate to be determined, and some more discussion in SPALC labor management. So if you agree with that, give me a thumbs up. Okay. Excellent. This is our 1, 2, 3, third orange circle today. Fourth, isn't it? Third. All right. We do have, Dr. Curtis needs to leave at 6:30. Sure, you want to leave at 6:15. Do we want to go through this third MOU? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the other MOU we were talking about was ESSER funds, retention bonus of $1,000. Any attendance supplement? We want to go ahead and start the discussion with this.
Just to kick it off again, I know that we sent this out. Dr. Pizzone shared with me that there were some notes or some feedback or questions based on conversation with the SPALC team. So I think probably should start there.
Okay. Kurt?
All right, thank you. So, as I said before, the SPALC team met earlier in the week and had some very robust discussion on this MOU in particular. And we had a few questions and some concerns. So I think wordsmithing wise, I think we like the term supplement better than incentive. So if you all are amenable to that, I think that'd be a quick change. The big concern is around previously approved leave by an administrator, especially as it relates to 255-day employees. So, at 255, employees are required to submit their leave in advance, for approval. And those who are at their, their max accrued annual leave hours that would have to use it or lose it would almost have to take days in order to earn, how do I want to say this? If they're maxed out, they have to take hours in order to continue to earn hours, but then that would make them ineligible for, for this, I'm about to use the word incentive, the supplement year. So I guess we were looking more toward carving out annual leave days and, in their entirety, or just previously approved leave, by an administrator should not, disqualify someone for receiving the supplement. Oh, yes.
Well,
So I guess two quick things, just looking at that up there. One is I think there was a typo. I think that that was supposed to be $1,000. Again, just based on the conversation, not $1,200, because it was 1,000 and 1,000. The second thing, February 11th is already passed, so we would want to pull that date off the list, but maybe should have some discussion about another date. It looks like there's only one in March, which I think was maybe because of spring break. But again, I think the intent was to offer multiple opportunities for people so that the situation that Dr. Fazone just mentioned, or if someone were to be sick on February 25th, they're not feeling like they have to show up because that's their one and only chance. That there would be more opportunities, available, but that I think Dr. Savage, when we met with SPALC Labor Management the other day, described this as the 3-point contest for the NBA All-Star game, and how like the fifth basketball is a different color and is worth bonus points. That was kind of the analogy that he used. So again, I think to make sure that there's more than one different colored basketball, would be helpful.
Yes?
I don't know if that addressed the question or the concern that we had or not about carving out or annual leave for 255. You're
right. I don't think I did. I got hung up on the 3-point contest.
I did too.
So I think again, I would defer to the team. I would honestly be interested in hearing from some of the other people, site-based supervisors or others who are having some of the attendance problems, to see if this would help address that, what they're experiencing in terms of vacation requests, what their thoughts are in terms of, need for flexibility, that sort of thing. The other thing, and I don't know if this, in terms of the terminology, is a factor, but I know I would probably get beat up if I didn't mention it. We still would have to have some conversation around implementation, because even with that last date being June 17th, we wouldn't necessarily be able to then automatically turn around and pay that on the June 30th. There might be some need to pay it all, at the same time. So rather than pay as you go, and then I don't know in terms of is there a distinction between incentive, supplement, bonus, in terms of how it works, whether with the component of pay, does that require more paperwork? Are certain things then, FRS eligible or not? That I'm sure that's probably part of the thought process for you all as well, but I would want to be more confident in kind of my understanding of that before we said yes to that part. Did that answer your question? Oh wait, my answer was to let other people answer it. That's what okay.
So, and the request for the supplement versus the bonus or incentive, we would prefer the bonus, of course. A supplement to us infers additional work beyond your regular time, and this is really not paying anyone for additional work beyond their time, other than they are doing more because of COVID. This is basically, a bonus for hanging in there with us through this hard time. So we would need to show this as a bonus in order to make this work.
Sorry, I think I jumped in line.
I didn't see that.
Oh. It just got brought to my attention that Friday, June the 17th may actually be a poor choice of a day because that may be a 4-day work week Friday.
So I'm learning of all kinds of days that we don't have to work. I think again, and I just say this in the interest of time because I know we're almost at the 6:30 time constraint. I don't know if we want to. I think we've heard some of the concerns. I don't want to keep anyone here later than we need to. I don't know if we want to come back to SPALC labor management with that, and again, maybe that gives us a time to reach out to some of the different people, or maybe pull some data on how many pre-approved vacation requests we have. We can make sure that payroll has a chance to see those dates and confirm that people are or are not working on those days. Yeah, June 17th is not a work day for many people.
All right. I just wanted to, kind of explain, actually even June 3rd, it's the day after, it's only a teacher work day. And paras and bus drivers are already done for this school year. So that's another date you should, to consider. But if even when you're looking at this, the 255 employees, I'm going to use myself. I have 360 hours. I get 12 hours a month. So if I don't take 2 days off every month, then even at this rate, I am going to hit 10 days that's limited in there, and there's no benefit to me. I'll lose out on just taking my required time. Yeah, we're required to put our vacation request. They ask for it to be between January 1st and March 1st. And they want it for the full year. There is a lot to that. Some people have already done. I've already done vacation requests through the end of this school year so I can make my plans around the days I need to use my 300, so I don't go over the 360 and just lose time. So that's why, that's one of my biggest concerns is you're gonna have a lot of us that are gonna hit that time and there's no incentive for us at all because we're gonna lose half of it just by trying to maintain under the 360 hours.
I believe I had Tony and Vivian. Do you want to answer this question first?
If they're okay.
Are you okay with that, Tony, if he answers this question? Yeah. Thank you.
So I think those are valid points, and I think even with the June 3rd early dismissal day too, I think we probably need to go back and look at some of that. One of the other things that was brought up was we tried to match some of the days off of when payroll comes out, but I know we also have kind of the testing window in there, and so maybe we can look at trying to align that with that. I think we're probably past FTE stuff, but other kind of major days where we really need everyone to be present other than just Friday payday, and maybe that will help also alleviate some of the concerns around vacation. But I still think we probably need to look at and talk about what you're describing, because I know the SPALC contract says people have to submit vacation requests kind of by a certain date, and so people might already be locked in on some of that, whether it's in the system or not.
Yes, mine is a totally different issue, being from a department that only has 4 personnel in there. And I'm at 360. I have to take those 2 days, 1 month and a day the next month, otherwise I lose. So even taking my days, it's still going to put me in the hole. I'm still gonna lose time. So, you know, that, it also looks at staffing issues.
And mine is, I'm graduating and I'm taking the second, third, fourth, and fifth. And I already got those days off. So will I miss out on that? Because I'm graduating up in Ohio. Will.
This was one of the few times that I was actually able to successfully multitask. So congratulations. I think that is also a part of the conversation, and I don't get just from our caucus and our pre-meeting discussions that there's a strong desire to say no to that. I think like Vivian's mentioning, there are those once in a lifetime type things that we still want to acknowledge and not jam people up over. I think it's maybe again, how do we do that with fidelity to the idea that there's certain days that we really need all hands on deck, and so if you're not attending a wedding, a funeral, a graduation, if it's not a previously scheduled vacation where you're already locked in because that's when the boat leaves, or that's when the plane leaves, or that's when the rest of your family leaves and you're just at home by yourself, enjoying your vacation that way. We want to make sure that we're being sensitive to that. So I think again, just in the interest of time, and maybe we can come back with some more a more refined option.
Just to add to what Will was saying, I highlighted a sentence up here. So the idea is that you could work any 5 of those days and earn the full incentive. So if you're looking at one of those days that you're not going to be here, then just work another 5 of those days. It's not that you have to work every single one in that list. That's the concept anyway.
Scroll back up.
Okay.
The 10 days total absence is their concern.
Oh, okay.
So for the 10 days total absence, I think we've heard the concern around the 255 and the 10-day total absence, but I was specifically addressing there's a day on this list, I already know I'm off. Well, that's okay, because you only have to work 5 of those days to qualify for that secondary bonus of the 1,000. I know it says 1,200 up there, but earlier we said it was supposed to say 1,000.
Will has another comment here.
So I think too, and that's good clarification about kind of what the concern is. I think that 10 total absences, I think the intent was like sick days. So I think again, we can talk about how to clarify that. And that's why we kind of put the carve out for FMLA or for COVID. If you have to quarantine, that shouldn't count towards those 10 days. If you're out because of a maternity leave, that shouldn't count towards those 10 days. We do provide people that vacation time in the hopes that, they get a little bit of a break from this place. Again, I think the goal was if we put 10 days out there and if you show up on 5 of those 10, you get $1,000. That might help us make sure that we have more people than less on some of those key days. But again, I don't think the intent was to say you can't take a vacation this year, and if you get COVID, you're not going to be eligible for the bonus. So I don't want anyone to walk away with that as their thought of what the option was shooting for.
We are now about 20 minutes later than Kerr had said. We have another comment?
I'm sorry, I'll be quick.
No, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask a question because I know a lot of people are going to ask. So
just so I have it straight, the $2,000, we will be getting it if you meet all the requirements, the 30th of June.
So we would have to discuss that. I think, again, conceptually, that would probably be when we would shoot for, but I know I can't say for sure because some of it's gonna depend on what dates and how quickly we can collect the data. And I know that Kim Hutchins, they have their payroll cutoff date, so it might be as of June 30, but showing up on your July 15 check. I think that's implementation stuff that we could work out and again clarify so that nobody's expecting a big check on a certain day and then disappointed when it doesn't show up, or it shows up 2 weeks earlier and you really wish you had known that it was going to be there then. Again, I think we can figure that out once we have the dates more locked down.
All right. And just one more thing. Can you guys please have more conversation on the supplement versus bonus? Because it's going to help the employees more.
Yes, I think we can definitely look at that. There are some limitations, and we can try and be creative in some ways. I know we had that conversation last year with TALC around longevity pay, but I think like Kelly said, there's certain things that we're just not allowed to do, and what you call it doesn't matter as much as what it is, and so that we don't jam someone up with FRS or with the IRS, even worse.
I'm sorry, well, it will, and that's why I said supplement, because supplement will go towards your retirement. I mean, that's the whole point, and I know she said that it's gonna create more work, but
it isn't the work. There's a statute that specifies what a bonus is and what a supplement stuff is, and this falls under a bonus. And the language, just so you know, the definition of compensation, let me go through here. Bonuses are payments made in addition to an employee's regular or overtime salary. They are usually non-recurring, do not increase the employee's base rate of pay, and do not carry with them a commitment for payment in the next year. That fits the bonus, not a supplement. So it needs to be paid as a bonus, paid based on the regulations that we have to follow. So that's what I was trying to say. It probably didn't come out. I didn't mean because it was extra work for us or anything like that. And I do want to say on the, we could pay 1,000 of that, the first part, by June 30th. The second part is the part because it has those other parameters attached to it that would take more time. That second one would have to be at a later date once all of those parameters are reviewed and met.
The only other thing to add, and this would be another point of clarification discussion, but I know that it created a lot of angst for some people, was defining, kind of employed or who's eligible. Do you have to be payroll eligible or not? We've had a past practice of how we've done that, and I think we're kind of that was called into question this year because of the way that some of the stuff was phrased and that it wasn't explicit enough. So I think we would need to have a conversation about do we want it phrased a certain way or not? And again, that's maybe more of a labor management conversation.
Thank you. What do we want to do? So we had quite a few. We had some time constraints, or do we want to push on until 7?
I would say let's table this until the next time. I know people have kind of been generous with their time, but that still gets us out of here a little bit early, and I don't know that we're necessarily going to have all the answers that we need tonight.
I think we meet next Wednesday.
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you guys for amazing questions tonight.
Thank you very much.
So, have a wonderful evening.